Imagine this. A mother, desperate and broken, standing in front of her son's hero, pleading for a miracle. A football legend, known for his skill on the field, about to make a decision that no one saw coming. What happened next will leave you speechless, because it's not just about football. It's about humanity, kindness, and the power of a dream. Stick around, because this story will touch your heart in ways you never expected. She was trembling. Her hands clutched a faded photo, and all she could whisper was, "Cristiano, please." The stadium was buzzing moments ago with chants, cheers, and camera flashes. But suddenly, everything fell silent. People turned their heads. Even the reporters paused mid-sentence. A woman, alone, clearly exhausted and visibly overwhelmed, had somehow made her way past the barriers. Security noticed her immediately. In most cases, someone would have been escorted away without a second thought. But this wasn't most cases. She didn't run. She didn't scream. She simply stood at the edge of the training ground, holding something in her shaking hands. A security guard approached her cautiously, preparing to guide her out. But then, Ronaldo saw her. From across the pitch, Cristiano Ronaldo stopped in his tracks. Sweat dripping, ball at his feet, teammates watching. He narrowed his eyes, trying to make sense of the scene. The woman saw him and took one desperate step forward. The photo in her hand fluttered in the breeze. Her lips moved, barely audible to those closest to her. "Cristiano, please." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Spectators and staff alike stared, wondering what she meant, why she was there, and what was on that photo. Security tried again to intervene, this time more firmly. But just as they moved toward her, Ronaldo raised his hand. "Wait," he said. The command was calm, but powerful. Instantly, everyone froze. He jogged over, his face a mixture of curiosity and concern. He didn't wave for cameras. He didn't smile for the press. He looked directly at her, into her tear-filled eyes. "What's wrong?" he asked gently. The woman hesitated, then slowly unfolded the photo with trembling fingers. What Ronaldo saw made his expression change completely. It was more than just a fan encounter. It was the start of something that would soon touch the hearts of millions around the world. The woman was dressed modestly. Her clothes were worn, slightly dusty, and hung loosely on her tired frame. Her shoes, clearly too thin for the journey she had taken, were frayed at the edges. She didn't look like the usual fans you see outside major stadiums. No flashy shirts, no banners, no makeup smeared in the colors of her favorite team. There were no chants coming from her lips, only the sound of her quiet breathing as she moved, step by step, closer to the field. She looked like someone who had traveled far, not just in distance, but in life. Maybe she had walked for hours, maybe even days. Her face showed the signs of a struggle not many knew about. Lines from sleepless nights, eyes puffy from tears cried in silence, and a heart heavy with something deeper than just admiration for a football star. But her eyes told a different story. They weren't filled with fear or desperation. They were filled with hope, a pure, unwavering hope that somehow, today, something miraculous would happen, that someone would listen, that someone would care. As she moved closer to the edge of the pitch where Ronaldo had just finished training, players glanced over, puzzled. Staff members exchanged nervous looks. Who was she? What did she want? People started murmuring. Some assumed she was lost. Others thought she might be asking for help. But no one, not a single person, could have imagined the story she was carrying. A story of love, sacrifice, and a mother's impossible mission. Security began moving toward her again, more alert now. But she didn't flinch. She didn't run. She simply held up that old photo in her hand, now more visible, faded, creased, and clearly precious. In that moment, everyone was about to witness a story that would not just break headlines. It would break hearts and restore faith in humanity. In her trembling hand was an old, wrinkled photograph. Time had not been kind to it. The edges were torn, the colors faded, and a faint coffee stain marked one corner. But despite its condition, the photo held something powerful, something unforgettable. It showed a young boy, no older than 10, lying in a hospital bed. His face was pale, his body small and frail under a white hospital blanket. Wires ran from his chest to a heart monitor. A thin tube rested beneath his nose, delivering oxygen to help him breathe. His smile, though weak, still beamed with a kind of quiet strength, the smile of someone fighting something far bigger than himself. But what truly stood out in the photo was the small, cut-out image of Cristiano Ronaldo, carefully taped next to the boy. It wasn't photoshopped nor printed digitally. It looked like it had been clipped from a magazine or newspaper. Ronaldo mid-celebration, arms wide, wearing the number 7. It was slightly crooked, as if it had been glued by small hands in a hurry. Still, the intent behind it was clear. This wasn't just a fan photo. This was a boy's dream made visible. A fantasy patched together with love, scissors, and tape. Ronaldo's eyes fixed on the image for a long moment. The world seemed to fade away as he studied it. He could feel it. This wasn't about fame, autographs, or selfies. This was about something deeper. That boy, her son, was holding on to a dream to meet the man who gave him strength, even from a distance. The woman looked up at Ronaldo and said softly, "He says you give him hope. Every day, he looks at this picture and says, one day, he'll come for me." And now, that day had come. Security tried to pull her back, but Ronaldo, without hesitation, raised his hand. "Let her talk," he said firmly but gently. Everything paused. It was as if the stadium, the staff, the fans, even the wind, obeyed his command. The woman, still shaking, stepped forward slowly. She looked up at him, not like someone looking at a celebrity, but like a mother holding on to her last hope. "My son," she began, her voice cracking under the weight of emotion. "He's only 10. He has a heart condition, a rare one. Doctors say he might not have much time left." Ronaldo's face shifted. His eyes, usually sharp with focus on the pitch, now softened. She continued, barely able to speak. "He told me, if I could meet Cristiano just once, I'd be the happiest boy alive." Her words were broken by sobs she tried hard to suppress. "I couldn't afford a ticket or travel, but I had to try. For him, I had to try." A hushed gasp spread across the stadium. Even hardened security guards glanced at one another, unsure of what to do. And Ronaldo? He didn't blink. He didn't move. He simply reached out and placed a hand gently on the woman's shoulder. "What's his name?" he asked. "Matteo," she whispered. "His name is Matteo." And in that single moment, the story began to shift from a mother's plea to a miracle in the making. Ronaldo didn't hesitate. There was no moment of doubt, no glance toward his manager, no second guessing. He walked straight up to her, took the faded photograph from her trembling hands, and looked at it closely. There was a silence as he examined the image. His image taped beside a sick little boy in a hospital bed. His brows furrowed. You could tell this wasn't just sympathy. It was something deeper. He was connecting with the pain, the love, and the hope wrapped up in that fragile piece of paper. "Where is he?" Ronaldo asked softly. "In Lisbon," the woman replied, her voice barely a whisper now through the tears. "At the children's hospital." "We're going to Lisbon," he said, clear and firm. Gasps rippled through the group. His coach opened his mouth to protest. There was training, press obligations, a tight match schedule. But Ronaldo raised a hand again. "Cancel everything," he added. "This is more important." The woman broke down. She covered her face with her hands as tears of disbelief streamed down her cheeks. She couldn't believe what she had just heard. She had expected, at best, a handshake, maybe a selfie, but this? Cristiano Ronaldo, global football icon, billionaire, 5-time Ballon d'Or winner, was about to fly with her to see her son. People rushed around making calls, arranging transport, coordinating schedules. But amid all the buzz, Ronaldo stood still, looking at the photo one more time. "Tell Matteo," he said gently, "his big brother is on the way." And just like that, a footballer became a hero in the eyes of millions. Within the hour, plans were in motion. Calls were made. Security was doubled. A private jet, already on standby for Ronaldo's post-training travel, was rerouted and prepped for a surprise destination, Lisbon. The woman, still stunned, still in disbelief, found herself guided gently into a sleek black vehicle, seated beside Cristiano Ronaldo himself. She didn't speak much. Her hands were folded in her lap, and she kept glancing at the photograph, as if making sure this wasn't just a dream. Ronaldo noticed. He smiled softly and said, "He's a brave boy. You raised a fighter." She nodded, barely able to hold back her tears. "He used to run and play football all day. Now he can't even stand without gasping for breath. But he watches you every day. Your videos, your matches. he says you're his inspiration." Ronaldo didn't reply with words. He simply reached into his bag and pulled out something folded, his signed jersey from training. He handed it to her and said, "Give this to him when we arrive. But don't tell him I'm coming. Let's surprise him." The flight was short but quiet. Ronaldo spent most of the time watching clips of Matteo sent earlier by the hospital staff. In one of them, Matteo was pretending to score a goal, weakly lifting his arms in celebration. The room around him was full of machines, but his spirit was full of life. Ronaldo watched the clip 3 times. As the plane touched down in Lisbon, media crews began catching wind of the story. But Ronaldo made it clear, no press, no big entrance. "This is for him, not for headlines," he said. A private car took them straight to the children's hospital. Nurses and doctors, initially shocked, worked quickly to prepare for his arrival. But he didn't wait for a ceremony. He walked straight through the front doors, holding the photo in one hand and the jersey in the other. The woman followed behind, her heart racing. The hospital corridors echoed with soft footsteps. Ronaldo didn't wear sunglasses. No bodyguards flanked him. He wasn't the global star now. He was just a man, walking toward a boy who had been waiting his entire short life for this moment. And the door to room 204 was just ahead. The hallway outside room 204 was silent, except for the gentle beeping of machines behind the doors. A nurse gave Ronaldo a soft nod, signaling that Matteo was awake. Ronaldo took a deep breath. Not the kind he takes before a penalty kick, but the kind you take before doing something that truly matters. He opened the door. Inside, the room was dim, with soft sunlight filtering through the blinds. Matteo lay in bed, small and pale, hooked up to wires and tubes. But his eyes, they were alive, curious, watching cartoons on a small screen, propped up beside him. One hand clutched that same photo, now creased and worn from years of being held, loved, and stared at every single day. The woman, his mother, stepped in first. "Matteo," she whispered, smiling through her tears. "I brought someone to see you." The boy turned his head slowly, and then he froze. Cristiano Ronaldo stepped into the light. For a moment, time stopped. Matteo's mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. His eyes grew wide, disbelief washing over him like a wave. Was it real? Could it be? Ronaldo's Milet. "Hey, champ," he said, walking to his bedside. "You've been waiting for me, haven't you?" Matteo's lips trembled. He nodded slowly, tears welling up in his eyes. "I told you," he whispered. "I told you he'd come." Ronaldo sat beside him, taking his small hand in his own. "You're stronger than most people I know," he said. "I've seen your videos, your goals, your smile. You inspire me." Matteo smiled through his tears. "But I'm just a kid." Ronaldo shook his head. "You're a warrior." He handed over the signed jersey, placing it gently on the blanket. Then, without cameras, without noise, Cristiano Ronaldo sat for over an hour by Matteo's side, laughing, talking, even pretending to play football with his soft toy ball. He showed him tricks, joked about his teammates, and promised him tickets for a future match front row. It wasn't a PR stunt. It wasn't for likes or headlines. It was real. And in that hospital room, a boy's dream wasn't just fulfilled. It was honored, respected, and turned into a memory that would live forever. No press had been invited. No camera crews had been called. But powerful moments, real, honest, human moments, have a way of finding their way into the world. A nurse, unable to hold back her tears, had quietly captured a photo. Ronaldo sitting at Matteo's bedside, holding the boy's hand with a soft smile on his face. The image wasn't polished. It wasn't staged, but it said everything. That single photo made its way onto social media later that evening. Within an hour, it was viral. Cristiano Ronaldo visits terminally ill fan in Lisbon after mother's desperate plea. No cameras, no headlines, just heart. This is what being a legend truly means. Within 24 hours, the image had been shared millions of times. Football fans around the world, whether they supported Manchester United, Real Madrid, Al Nassr, or Portugal, came together in awe. Sports anchors, celebrities, and athletes alike posted tributes. Messages flooded in from every continent. Hashtags like hashtag for Matteo and hashtag Ronaldo the hero trended globally. But for Ronaldo, it wasn't about the noise. He didn't even post the photo. No captions, no stories. His only statement was a quiet one during an interview days later. "Sometimes football gives us fame. But moments like this, they remind us why we play." Matteo's story touched millions. Not because it involved a superstar, but because it reminded people what really matters: compassion, kindness, and taking action when it counts. Fans began fundraising for the Lisbon Children's Hospital, donating in Matteo's name. Hundreds of letters arrived at the hospital for the young boy, some from children battling illness themselves, calling him a hero. Others from parents who now saw Ronaldo not just as an athlete, but as a symbol of hope. One message stood out. It read, "Thank you, Cristiano. You didn't just change Matteo's life. You reminded the world to care." Even critics of Ronaldo, those who doubted his sincerity or criticized his fame, were quiet. Because in that moment, no statistic, no trophy, no record could match what he had done. He had given a boy the gift of joy. He had given a mother a memory no money could buy. And he had given the world a story that would be told for generations. Weeks passed, but the impact of Ronaldo's visit stayed fresh in the hearts of everyone involved. Matteo's story had spread far and wide, but life, as it often does, continued. The young boy's condition remained delicate, though the smile on his face had never been brighter. Yet the story wasn't over. Ronaldo had one final, extraordinary gift in mind. As the hospital room continued to receive flowers, letters, and toys sent from fans across the world, the boy's mother received an unexpected phone call late one evening. "Is this Mrs. Carvalho?" The voice on the other end asked. "Yes, this is she. This is Cristiano Ronaldo's assistant. Cristiano has asked if you could meet him tomorrow afternoon. He has something special he would like to give Matteo." The woman was speechless. She had never imagined that the story could get any more incredible. But this was something she couldn't have even dreamed of. The next day, the mother and Matteo were guided once again through the quiet hospital corridors, this time with a sense of anticipation. When they arrived at a special room, Matteo, wearing a signed jersey, was shocked to see Ronaldo standing there, holding a large, carefully wrapped box. His heart skipped a beat. "Matteo," Ronaldo said, kneeling down in front of him, "I know we've shared some special memories already, but I want to give you one more gift, something that will remind you that you're not alone." He carefully unwrapped the box, revealing a custom-made football jersey, this one bearing Matteo's name, number 10, and a personal message from Ronaldo: "Stay strong. You're a champion." Matteo's eyes widened in disbelief. He reached out and touched the jersey, as if to make sure it wasn't a dream. This is for me." Ronaldo nodded. "This is for you, Matteo. I want you to know you'll always be a part of my team." But that wasn't all. As Matteo gazed in wonder at the jersey, Ronaldo handed him something else, a brand new football, gleaming white and pristine. "I want you to always have a ball to kick," Ronaldo said with a grin. "And whenever you do, remember that there's someone out there cheering for you." In that moment, the boy's face lit up in pure joy. His mother, standing at the door, wiped away tears. This wasn't just a jersey or a ball. It was a symbol of hope, of a life lived with purpose, and of a future filled with dreams. For Matteo, it was the greatest gift of all. And for Ronaldo, it was a promise kept. As the months went by, Matteo's condition remained a challenge, but his spirit was indomitable. The visits, the gifts, the love from fans and strangers alike kept his morale high, and every time he kicked that ball, whether in his hospital room or in the garden with his mother, the ball was a reminder of his dream and the man who had made it come true. Cristiano Ronaldo, despite the chaos of his professional life, continued to check in on Matteo. He called to see how he was doing, sent messages, and even surprised the boy with more jerseys from his upcoming matches. "Keep fighting, little warrior," he would write. And every time Matteo read one of those messages, it felt like a new surge of hope. But as time went on, the inevitable truth of Matteo's illness became harder to ignore. He had defied the odds for so long, living for moments, memories, and dreams. He had outlived expectations. But the day came when his condition worsened, and the hospital staff, as compassionate as ever, prepared his family for what they knew was coming. Yet, Matteo's family was different. They carried with them the legacy of that unforgettable visit. No one in their lives, no one in the world, could take away what Matteo had experienced. His mother shared with the media in one of her final interviews about her son's journey. Matteo was a boy with a dream. He got to meet his hero, and more than that, Cristiano became his friend. He gave Matteo more than just a jersey. He gave him hope, and that hope kept him alive longer than anyone thought possible. And as Matteo passed, peacefully and surrounded by family, his legacy lived on, woven together with the joy he found in that one unforgettable day. The football world rallied behind his story. In the months that followed, the children's hospital where Matteo had spent most of his life became a beacon for other children suffering from terminal illnesses. Donations flooded in, with people remembering not just Ronaldo's incredible gesture, but Matteo's bravery in the face of overwhelming odds. Cristiano Ronaldo, too, dedicated a match to Matteo's memory, planting a flag in the center of the field with a tribute to the little boy who had touched the heart of a football legend. Though Matteo's time on Earth was brief, his impact was lasting. His story, alongside the kindness of one of the world's greatest athletes, became a symbol of strength, kindness, and hope. And through it all, one thing was certain. No matter where life took them, Matteo's dream had never been just about meeting his hero. It had been about inspiring others to believe that even in the darkest moments, there is always light. If you were moved by Matteo's incredible story and the kindness that changed his life, don't forget to hit that like button. Share this story with anyone who needs a reminder that kindness and hope can truly change the world. And if you want to hear more stories that inspire, uplift, and remind us of the good in the world, be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a moment of heartwarming content. Thank you for watching, and remember, every small act of kindness counts. Stay inspired, and we'll see you in the next video.